I'm Anna Lunoe, and you're watching Magic Rabbit Productions with DJ Beatstreet.
Yeah! Hey, it's another Q&A with DJ Beatstreet, and today I have international DJ Anna Lunoe. Anna, how are you?
Good,
You got me hanging?
I'm awake. I'm slow right now. I just woke up.
Yes, you did. Last night, you played at Voyeur.
Yep.
Slayed it. Did a good job. But I mean, I'm no stranger to this because I showed you the Instagram picture. I was like, yo, we played like in Philly like 2 years ago, and it was like, oh my god. But if you guys haven't seen Anna play, I mean, hands down, probably one of the cleanest DJs that I've seen play, and cleanest female DJs out there. Real quick, I want to get into the whole gender thing, even though I don't think it's like super important, especially when it comes
to bed.
No, when it just comes to DJing and stuff. I mean, do you feel like you have to step up super extra?
I definitely felt like at the beginning I had something to prove, for sure. I tried not to make it a thing that I was a girl, but people keep reminding you, and they're very quick to cut you down if you mess up. There's no assumed doubt with girls. There's no assumed like, oh, I'm sure that something went wrong with the computer. It's like, oh, she doesn't know how to use her shit. And it's like, okay, so I made sure I knew what I was doing when I started. And now, I just don't think about it.
And it's just like, everyone's like, oh, and that's the thing too. It's like, whether it's like male or female, I think every DJ strives to be, a crowd controller and tries to be clean and everything else. And I feel like, society puts too much on like, oh yes, critically acclaimed female DJ, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm still good at playing a record as a person or a human being. No, you did an awesome job last night, and like the girls, like Factory Girls, they're doing a great thing in the city as well. And you came out here for the All Out tour.
Yeah.
Yes, lead single off of your EP currently, and I know we were talking about some other stuff last night. What's the whole basis of the whole EP? What's your artistic foundation for it right now?
Basically, when I did the deal with Ultra, I already had a bunch of songs done, and they picked those 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they actually picked 3 of those songs, and then there was one song which is going to end up on someone else's album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we replaced it with Say It Again, which I really wanted on the EP. Say It Again is probably the oldest of all of them, but I've been playing it out for 2 years, and it gets such a good reaction. Like, I've played it like weddings and stuff, and like grandmas like Say It Again. So that's the big tick for me. As long as a grandma likes it, I think it's there.
Of course, grandma approves, then it's like
big
the
tick.
rest of the world will follow.
Big stamp.
And then with All Out, also the remix EP came out for it, and I know it gets to be kind of a weird thing for an artist, especially you're not like normal artists because you produce, you DJ, and you sing, so you're all combined into one, as opposed to, I don't know, a rapper or a singer who just creates a body of work, and then these remixes come out, and there's always the roll of the eyes, whether it's good or bad. What's your take on it, since you kind of know a little bit of the both worlds and the importance of remixes to your song? Well,
I mean, I curate the remixes for stuff that I want, so my sets jump all over the place, and sometimes I need a remix of that song to fit a certain set. So luckily with DJing, I know a lot of my favorite producers. We'll be talking throughout the year about other stuff or whatever, and it's a very natural thing. It's like, hey, if I send them the EP and they write back saying, I like this song, then I'll be like, do you want to remix it, Sometimes I have to get a little bit more begging than that, like, please remix this song, I need to hear you remix this song. On the other hand, sometimes people come to me and they're like, hey, I really want to jump on something, have you got anything that needs a remix? So, I don't know, you just like, it's a weird time, it's not like the 80s or the 90s from what I hear, where you had a 10K remix budget and you could go out throwing money on people saying, can you do this? It's like, can you do this? And then, like, if it gets approved, then I can give you a bit of money.
Yeah,
it's hard to get people to do remixes, So it's lucky that I have good connections with people, and I guess those 8 years on the grind paid off. No,
definitely. And like you said, sometimes you solicit it, and then sometimes you might just have somebody just out of the blue that you look up to, like another peer, like, hey, I really like this, I want to, remix it or whatever. Do you feel type of like humbled or like honored, like, oh, like, wow, like so and so, I never really thought they were listening to my material at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm always surprised. I'm still in that phase where I get totally chuffed when people that I admire are playing this. I find out they're playing it, or someone tags me on Twitter and is like, "Oh, so and so just dropped your track." It's like, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, and talking about remixing, you told me that somebody else last night wanted to remix the Heartbreak in Motion that you're kind of out playing now, and we're talking about maybe being the follow-up single to All Out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well the next single is going to be Heartbreak in Motion, and it's a track that features Jesse Boykins on vocals. And yeah, just sort of sorting out remixes for that now. That track's been getting a really nice dance floor reaction. I guess All Out wasn't really designed to be a club song. It was designed to be more of like a listening kind of catchy kind of pop song, even though the production was really rooted in the club. But it just wasn't really a club song. It wasn't built for a dance floor. So Heartbreak is kind of built for a dance floor, and it's still very catchy as well. So
probably get that rolling out probably next month or so.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have no idea actually.
But it's coming, and it's coming soon.
Yeah.
So that's all we need.
Well, it's already out. You can already buy it.
Yes,
Twitter.
yes, you can. Beatport, Twitter, iTunes, everywhere else.
Spotify.
Production-wise, traveling on the road, singing, and everything else. How do you manage to do everything all together, or do you wait till you go back to LA and get into the studio?
I usually do things in chunks now. So I used to just tour all the time, and I still kind of do, but I take 3 weeks off every 2 months. So I try and just make some space to get my head a little bit into production, and maybe book in some sessions with some collaborators and keep busy. But I'm changing that up next year, and I'm going to put more emphasis on the production and do less shows, I think, next year. It is hard to balance both. You know, it's a constant struggle to try and work out how to do it and get your head into the right headspace, because when I tour, I usually play four shows a week, and the routing is never all in the same state. It's Seattle, Philly, Montreal, then back to LA. It's very much I come home from a weekend and I'm completely shattered for a day or 2 days. And I try and be as efficient as possible and get up in the morning and exercise and keep focused, but it is hard to get into the headspace. So yeah, I'm looking to kind of even that out next year and only book really specific stuff and spend more time in the studio.
And then what would be the end goal for this, especially if you want to book more studio time and less live and Lunoe performances? Would it be more of a full-length album that you would finally put out instead of EPs every couple of years?
Well, I think the EP format works really well for me right now. I don't think I really have the demand for an album. I think that I'm still growing and shaping my sound, and as you mentioned when we were talking last night, every track on the EP is different, and that's only a small percentile of the vast amount of different styles that I've been doing this year. If people are familiar with with what I put out this year, there was Bad MF with Treasure Fingers, there was BDD on Skrillex's label, which is completely different from the EP, and then the track with T, Feels Like, which was a tech house kind of bouncy banger, strictly rhythm style, UK rave and vibe. So it's been very varied, and I'm still experimenting, and for me EPs make a lot of sense because it's the label can just cherry pick a few songs that make sense sort of together, and we can get it out reasonably quickly. It sort of allows me to experiment a lot. It allows me a lot of freedom to try anything and just keep growing. And maybe after I've done, I think I'm going to do 3 EPs with Ultra, and then I'll make a choice at the end of that whether I want to do an album or whether I want to change and become a country singer, or maybe I don't know. I'll just think about it. I don't want to commit myself to dance music.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, and you said sonically, or I mentioned sonically, everything was different, and your sound has always been revolving around you know, really dope synthy vibes, and it's kind of always been there with other artists, you know, besides yourself. And it's just like, what caused this to rise up? Is it the, you know, people are over big room, or are they over the, you know, all the large leads, and it's like, what's next? And it's just like, did this thing come up, or is it something that you might have seen overseas? It was like, yo, this is going to be the next in America because you've just seen it coming.
Well, I mean, everyone's been talking about the EDM bubble bursting for a while, but I think it's the timing as well. You know, if you think about dance music in America becoming the mammoth thing that it is now, I guess that was like 3 years ago that it really sort of started popping here in a big way. Mm-hmm. You know, in modern EDM, like Calvin Harris, David Guetta, you know, EDM vibes. And I think that it's, you know, those kids were maybe 18 or 21 and now they're 25 or they're 23 and they're bored. So they're looking deep, you know, the dance music population are more educated and know more than they did 3 years ago. So they're looking for something a little bit more complex, a little bit less immediate, a little bit more to dig their teeth into. So I think it's a combination of the timing and also the climate. You know, things are so circumstantial, and that's music, like that's art. You just want what feels fresh, and when things are done in a fresh way, for me, I'll always play them. I don't give a shit about what's, you know, as long as it feels fresh to me, I'll represent it. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of a turn on when everyone hates it, because it's like, you guys all think that this is cheesy, but I'm going to teach you that it's actually not cheesy. You're just listening to the cheesy shit. So it's exactly like fashion, you know, like now it's all about deep house, but it's, you know, that is going to be the death of something as well. That's going to be the death of a lot of stuff. Like, it freaks me out sometimes when I see like a big EDM guy's mix, like a Martin Garrix mix, and he's putting Kaytranada in there. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? If Kaytranada and like all these cool beat makers, if they become really popular, does that mean everyone's going to turn on them and hate them now? Because they're still good, and
or that sound becomes super oversaturated, and then nobody wants to deal with it.
And then no one wants to touch it. So
it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword, and that's why like I like my music to fit within the realms of, can be played in the clubs around the songs that are big now, but I definitely wouldn't call my EP deep house at all. I haven't used that big, you know, bass line that everyone uses, and I haven't used like, there's a lot of stuff that I avoided, so it never really completely falls in that category. It just can live alongside it and still feel fresh, maybe, hopefully. Well, that's what I aim to do.
No, and it is. It definitely is.
I fed him that. He's like, oh yeah, no, it's really fresh.
Just a big plate of his Lunoe, just like here, boom. Traveling. Let's talk about what's happening in the world now. Traveling. You travel a lot. You're going to Boston once we're done this, and you fly around LA. Ebola in traveling.
Oh my God! Really?
What are you doing to protect yourself?
Not kissing people. I don't know. It's not airborne. You can't like catch it yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Look, I'm gonna chill about that. I don't want to. I think that like, I'm not an expert, but I did listen to an NPR article, so I think I'm an expert. Yeah, like it's not spreading through the community yet. But I think, you know, I hug everybody at the DJ shows, and it can be transferred through sweat. So if it starts to go super viral, maybe I'll stop hugging everyone. That's probably as far as I'll go. And definitely stop kissing everyone on the plane. It's my next thing to give up.
There's always that one person that kisses the baby as it comes down through a plane. It's like, oh, it's so cute. And I was like, it's an Ebola baby, don't kiss it. But no, and you said you hug fans, and we saw that last night. I mean, if you haven't seen an Lunoe show, I mean, you are very down to earth. You know, showed so much love to your supporters at the end of the show. And there was even a part, I don't know, look on Instagram, there's a dude that gave you a camera, a cell phone that had the film running, and you would take a selfie, and it was like, oh, this is the camera. And it just started filming everybody just going really wild in the crowd. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people, we don't see that anymore. There's a disconnect between the artist and their fans sometimes. So, I mean, for you to go out there and really do that, that's awesome.
I guess it's kind of like things grew for me so slowly that like, the good thing, the upside to that is that they think of me as a person. Whereas, and being a woman in the internet it's weird shit. Like people do weird stuff to you when you're a female, and you post a photo of yourself and people are like, look at her hands, I want to lick her hands. You're like, oh, okay. And I think that the cool thing about talking to people is that you're not an object to them. I give them respect, and hopefully they'll treat me like a person. And I think that they need to believe that you're the multi-dimensional person that you are. You know, why pretend that you're not as multi-dimensional as you are? Yeah, I just think just be chill, and people will be chill to you. That's essentially my ethos.
Yeah, real shit.
Real talk.
Real talk right there from Anna Lunoe. Well, about to get ready. She's going to head up to Boston. Any other places that you're stopping here for the All Out tour?
This is the last weekend. So I did I think it's been 5 weeks.
Okay.
And this is the last show. Last night was the second last show. Tonight's the last show in Boston.
Saving the best for last, Boston, but yes, we're happy that you came to Philly.
Yeah, I'm happy that I came to Philly too. It was my first proper headline show in Philly. I've done a few gigs here before, but more chill vibes. So this was really fun last night. It was a good vibe.
No, it was. It was. And if you won't see this by the time it airs, but next time she comes around, make sure you check out Anna Lunoe and get the EP that's out now. Spotify, iTunes, Beatport, whatever.
The All Out EP.
All Out EP. See ya. Peace. I feel like it's
People
24/7.
don't buy that you can't work out how to use your alarm clock. It's
when you have to play till X
when you
amount of time, and then they want you up early, you try working your alarm clock.
Yeah, exactly.